when we think of ethics, you're really thinking about it from two perspectives. The first is the law, and that's what governs everything we do, right and wrong. And if you do the wrong thing, you get punished for it. But what happens when you have a situation where the law doesn't really apply, or it does, but it kind of briefly touches upon it? A good example is video game emulation. Now, I personally think the vast majority of video game emulation falls into a grey area, and you can't really say it's wrong. And a good example of that is Quest 64. Now, the company that made that game, they don't make video games anymore. They make phone hardware for the Japanese market. So you got a situation, right? If you want to legally play Quest 64, you have to own the hardware and you have to buy the game. So if you're buying the game now, used, especially to say you're playing that game legally, that's all well and good, but you're not giving Imagineer, the company that made that game, any money. So if you're buying that game used, you're not giving the company that made it any money. But the flip side to that is, if you decide to emulate it, you're still not giving them any, Imagineer any money. So under those circumstances, I find it hard to say emulation is wrong. But there is another side to it, and a good example of that is Earthbound. Now, your only option is to make sure you have a Super Nintendo and a very, very, very overpriced used copy of Earthbound. But again, you buy the used copy, you're not giving Nintendo any money. And for the longest time, there wasn't any other means other than emulation or playing the physical cards. And again, both those means don't give Nintendo any money. And up until its re-release on the Wii U, I couldn't see a problem with emulating Earthbound. But the problem is, now you've got two options. You can just emulate Earthbound, or, if you have a Wii U, you can legally buy Earthbound in a way where Nintendo gets money for it. So when you're in that situation, what do you do? I mean, do you just say, well, if I want to play Earthbound, I've got to play it on the Wii U, because that's the legal way to do it? I don't know, situations like that where a game has been digitally re-released, yeah, I guess morally you should buy the digital re-release version because the company that made the game gets money for it. But the problem with that is digital games, you don't own them, you own the license. And at any point, a game that you've digitally bought can be taken away from you. So let's say, for example, Earthbound with the Wii U. At any point, Nintendo can take the game off the store shelves and even prevent you from downloading it again. So what is the incentive to buy the few games that have been re-released in a way that's legal and gives the company money? Again, what is the incentive of buying those games if you don't own them and can be taken away from you? But there are other advantages to emulation. I mean, one, there's no DRM. You've got the emulator, you've got the ROM. No one's going to take them away from you. And the good thing about emulation is you can enjoy it in ways that, you can enjoy games in ways that were not originally intended. If you've got an Ouya connected to a TV, cool, you can play an old game on the big screen. Or, you can play games on your tablet or on your mobile phone. I love playing old games on my phone because I've got a Bluetooth controller that opens up and you can put devices in. So I can turn this into a portable retro, gaming mini console or handheld console, and it's so much fun. So what's your opinion? I mean, do you see no problems with emulating anything that you can emulate? Do you just flat out think it's wrong? Or are you like me in that emulation mostly falls into a grey area, and if you're emulating something where there's no legal way to emulate it in a way where the company that made the game is getting money for it, do you have the same opinion as me that in that scenario, emulation is fine? So what's your opinion? I mean, this could be a really good discussion, and I don't really think we're ever going to agree on any, right or wrong to emulation, but maybe that's the kind of the point of these discussions, that we talk. We don't agree, but we talk. We exchange ideas. So I want to hear your thoughts. What are your ethics when it comes to video game emulation?